Now, the last topic for today is employee engagement. So specifically focusing on that aspect and understanding how the Shadowmatch system supports you in employee engagement within your organization. Lizette, please tell us more.
Great. So let's look at employee engagement and the theory behind how do we use Shadowmatch as a system to encourage the engagement of employees in the working environment. So I'm going to share my screen. So if we look at employee engagement, the first thing we do and how do we apply and use Shadowmatch with regards to employee engagement is firstly, we teach the manager to use the strongest habits of each employee for tasks. So let me explain. So if I, as the manager of my division, have insight into the habits, the results of all my employees, I can then allocate roles and responsibilities according to the strongest habits of each of the employees in my department or division. So if I, for example, know that Suzanne's strongest habits are around the people habits, altruism, people positive, and conflict handling, for example, I would then allocate roles and responsibilities that are related to customer service, customer engagement, organizing social events for the team, everything people related that's on our task list as a division. I will then allocate those roles and responsibilities to Suzanne because her strongest habits are the people habits. If one of my employees have strong habits on problem solving and simplification, tasks and things that come across our desk that are challenges and problems to be solved, I will then allocate those tasks to the individuals with the highest and the strongest habits on problem solving and simplification, because that's their natural patterns. Now that's allocating the tasks to the individuals where their habits are the strongest. The second thing we do is we help the manager to talk the language of the strongest habit of the employee. Now, this is different to point number one. Point number one is I actually allocate the task to the individual with the strongest habit related to that task. But now, as the manager, I also talk the language of the strongest habit of an employee. Another example, if I have a specific challenge that needs to be taken care of in my division, and I know James has a strong habit on propensity to own, James has a strong habit on problem solving as well as simplification, and those are James's 3 strongest habits. Then when I engage into a discussion and when I communicate with James, I would say, James, we've got a challenge at hand. I would like you to take ownership of this challenge and see if you can find a solution that will be the simplest way to explain this to our customers. Now, can you hear? I've said to James, can you take ownership of this problem? Because his strongest habit is propensity to own and problem solving. So immediately James takes ownership. He goes into problem solving mode because he applies his problem solving habit. And I've said, I want to find the simplest solution to explain this to our customers. Now I also activate his simplification habit. So by talking the language of the employee's strongest habits, I now help to activate the behavior for that individual to execute the task. And then lastly, for employee engagement, and this is contrary to what we do normally when we look at development of an employee, we do a personal development program on the strongest habit of the employee, not the habit that is the softest compared to the benchmark, or just if we look at the individual in isolation, not the individual's softest habit. We do a development program on the strongest habit. Why? Because that activates the execution. That makes the employee feel engaged because the strongest habits are the habits that the employee will use to do the daily job, to execute the task, and to achieve success in their role in that specific division. So thanks. Let's have a look at this on the system. How do we actually do this when we look at the practical side of Shadowmatch?
When focusing on employee engagement in Shadow Match, you would need to understand the unique habits of a specific individual. So step one is for the manager to understand each of the individuals in their team's unique habits. So on your file, you would find all of the results. So you would just need to give the manager the access to the results. So you can either just email them the report, or if they have system access, they can access the interactive version on the website on the system. So let's say I'm the manager of the admin team. Now I just need to understand my specific team. So the 7 employees working with me in the team, I need to understand each of their habits. So let's say Fred Flintstone, one of my team members, I want to understand his habits. I would click on Shadow Match results. And now I don't want to look at the comparison. I'm not concerned now at the benchmark versus the individual. I would simply click on the full report here at the bottom. And now I see the individual's unique habits. Now, this is actually an entire interactive report. So if you click on one of the graphs, it would open up the explanation for that specific habit, explain the cutoff points and all of the details. So it's nice and interactive. But you can also download or email the specific report. So on the system, you will see always at the top screen here, you can click on download, then you can download the full report with all of the content or just the graph, depending on what you need. So if the manager doesn't have access to the system, you would simply say download full report and give them the report. So email them the report that they have it on their side. But step one is for the individual to understand this. So they would read that full report to say, okay, now I need to understand the Shadow Match language to link the tasks to that individual's specific, unique, strongest habits. So the example we have here is Fred, and his strongest habit is to simplify and responsiveness. So when giving him tasks, we would focus it on that to say, okay, can you find us a simplified solution to this? Saying, oh, this is so complex, it's chaos, I'm not seeing a clear solution. Fred, will you please find a simplified solution or suggestion for the following problem or the following scenario? So it always focuses that on the strongest habits to make sure it activates that specific individual's unique strongest habits. So that's step one. We equip the manager with the information. So it's purely giving them access to the individual's own Shadow Match result. That entire full report would explain everything. And if I want to understand that strongest habit, I can zone in on that to say, okay, what is simplification? What does it mean? How does it, manifest? And then understand the habit and understand the specific individual. Where does he fall? How strong is his strongest habit? So all of the detail in that report, the manager can then have access to. So they have that in place. Now we need to do the development journey, and now we're going to develop the strongest habit of this individual. So we go to the system, we are on the individual's result here, and then we go to the bottom screen and we click on the request PDP button here. And now we're not going to follow the recommendations. We're not going to think about a benchmark compared to this. We have a specific mandate with employee engagement in mind to say we're focusing on the specific individual's strongest habit. For this one, we know, okay, it's to simplify. So we would select the simplification PDP program, activate that, and now the development would align to that individual's strongest habit, making that stronger habit even more stronger, but completely engaging the individual with the tasks they're going to be expected, because it's already in their comfortable space of habits where there's that embedded pattern for it. So yeah, we would activate that program specifically, and then obviously you would do this for each individual. Go to their specific result, activate their specific strongest PDP, and keep and activate that employee engagement mindset with the individuals. And now they embark on this great, fantastic journey of development, specifically focused for them, focused on their highest habit. And we saw the results on their personal feedback report.